Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us back here at Forza Innovations channel. We have a special interview for you guys today. Now, we became rather acquainted with Johnny, but today we're going to talk to the Vice President of Forza Innovations, Garrett Morosky. Garrett, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, and the same way I kicked off Johnny's is how I really want to kick off yours. I want to get to know you a little bit, the man behind the mission, so to speak. So tell me your past experience, what really motivates you as an entrepreneur, and then we'll work our way into the story of how you met and got acquainted with Johnny.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Past experience. We'll start from college. Went to Allegheny College. Played sports there. Had a dad who was very corporate growing up. I was doing, while in school, I was doing, voluntary tax internships. I was working for Northwestern Mutual, selling life insurance. A lot of selling stuff. My dad, he worked at Alcoa. Which is kind of an environmental company. So he put me into some, different environmental type of companies as well. And I would say, when I was in college, a lot of the work that I did, it was good learning experience because it's like now it's like I sit here and I fast forward and I'm like, all right, cool. Like when it comes to doing my taxes, that's something that I can easily do, which was something that, again, college doesn't teach you. That internship was great. Selling life insurance at that time for me was, pain. I was calling, my neighbors, like, oh, hey, you want life insurance? I just realized that wasn't for me. Then leaving kind of college around that time, I initially came out to LA for a little bit of acting and stuff like that. Studied business and math at Allegheny. So kind of just threw that degree out of the window for a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I want to try something different. Came out to LA when I was 21, started doing some acting, shot some TV shows. Had a movie that came out on Amazon. Met a girl, realized it cost money. And I was like, you know what? This isn't paying the bills. So I kind of, took that college degree, started reaching out to different companies, and kind of right when search engine optimization was right kind of on the ground floor about 7-8 years ago. I started working for an SEO company. It was kind of interesting because, again, at the time I was in sales for it. So I've always been good at, kind of talking, getting people to be enticed about something, but I have to find that passion. I think the biggest thing in life is like finding that passion and being able to sell someone that passion. So when I first started, I was like, search engine optimization, like, excuse my language. I was like, what the F is this, man? Like, what? Like, all right. So, started, doing a bunch of research on it, had the little, books for dummies. And we had this one Asian kid who was on our squad, and I started seeing him taking our business and then, people who were in close proximity at the time, taking their businesses and ranking them organically on Google as the first index page for certain keywords. So I was like, okay, wait a second, like this is sick. Like I can get behind this. I started seeing what he was doing. And then I started doing that for a bunch of different companies. Brought in a bunch of different people for our company, started sitting there and I was like, you know what, these numbers aren't adding up. Like our retainers are so ridiculous right now. And I'm doing all of this work, bringing people on, not making the money that I want to make. My value's not here, express that. And then I started actually taking on clients myself. And that's kind of like around the time of when I met Johnny. I was working with about 10 different clients on retainer. It was hard. I started actually I had so much work that I was doing behind the scenes. And I realized for me, like, I'm not a person who's really like behind the scenes. Like, not the person who's sitting there and change page titles, meta description. Like, yes, I can do all of that stuff. It's a great tool to learn because this is you building the foundation of a brand and a company. So it was good to kind of go through, that rough and like rocky patch. But then I was like, all right, now I got to start outsourcing. Like, how do I outsource this to the people? I started outsourcing it and then started dealing with people who were shady. And then I was like, all right, well, that's just, in LA, again, like being in LA, it's a different beast within itself. Made a ton of connections during that time. Anyone who I worked with could only speak highly of me. Always been a hard worker, always been, up early in the morning in the gym, then get straight to work. And then kind of around that time when I met another person who was starting to run, again, this is when paper, it's like ads were first starting to come out and everything like that as well. Like Google, you could be a Google partner, Facebook partner. And, again, so I started learning like kind of the back end of that stuff as well. Realized I was like, yo, on top of all this other stuff, when it comes to the search engine optimization stuff, now I'm getting into, PPC stuff like that. Like, it's just, yeah, it was a lot going on. So I felt like I was just constantly overwhelmed. Started outsourcing different people, met a couple really amazing people. And then I just was like, wait a second, I can make money off of bringing different businesses, just this guy alone. And he's now running, he's running ads for ESPN, Disney, Zappos, Curio. So I started, tossing clients over that way. I was like, I can make money off of this. During that time, that's actually when I met Johnny. I was coming home one day in my elevator, and weirdest thing, I had my golf clubs. Stressful day, came back, had my golf clubs, was right up the elevator, and he was like, you golf? And I was like, bro, my girl wants me to throw out my golf clubs. And he was like, oh, bro, dump her. And I don't know, from there, we started to form kind of like more like a, like just a, close like friendship, I guess. But we would go golf, talk business, everything like that. I'd let him know what I was doing. He would always let me know what he was doing. That's kind of when he started telling me about everything with G-Tech, all the stuff that he's done on the heated wearables and the heated technology. And that's whenever he kind of, after a couple of months of us having a relationship, he's like, yo, why don't you stop what you're doing and, come on board for a couple of projects that I'm doing? Because they kind of correlated at the time with, what he was doing. He was over in China. We were getting cool products that were probably like 5-10 years into the future. And we're like, all right, well, let's see if we can take this to market. On top of that, manufacturing the heated wearables. So I actually ended up going out to China with Johnny for a couple of years. And that was, that was eye-opening within itself. I mean, it really taught me how to get shit done at the end of the day.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Factories, sitting down with people who don't even speak the same language as you, seeing completely different cultures, seeing you be able to take, for example, like this t-shirt over somewhere and have it be manufactured and sent back exactly the same way that you gave it to them within a matter of like 3 hours. So that was probably one of the most eye-opening experiences that I've had as an entrepreneur. I think that journey with Johnny was probably what has made me go down this entrepreneurial rabbit hole. During that time, we were manufacturing heated wearables around COVID. We got back in about November, December of 2019. And I was sent a giant box of medical supply during that time from our manufacturing in China. I was like, bro, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Like, I don't want this. So I hit up a doctor friend and was like, hey, here's some medical stuff, medical PPE, medical devices, take them, whatever. They started reaching out to me. They're like, hey, like we need more, we need more, we need more. So then I met with a guy in LA who had a new fashion products, Bobby On. They actually went under during COVID. Really sad story. They were manufacturing a lot of denim for the top brands. During that time, we were making gowns and things like that. Sold some medical PPE, donated more than we ever sold. And made a little bit of money myself for the first time in my life. And I invested in a company called FitPlan app, which then I got invested in Fit Labs. FitPlan ended up getting acquired. And then I also, during that time, came on with a company called Hilo Gummies, which ended up selling as well. All good experiences. I think the CPG space was very interesting at the time. I learned how to literally go into any grocery store in all of America and figure out a way to get my product in the stores. Wow. Which was super cool. Super cool experience. Again, it was an interesting space at the time, but I've learned a lot through all of those kind of like ventures. Learned a lot through my experience, especially being in LA. And then during that time, after investing in those companies, I kind of took some time off to myself and I went and traveled. Didn't really stay around America much during COVID. And during that time, I had multiple like TV shows and people hitting me up like, oh, you'd be perfect for this show. You'd be perfect for this show. Like, come on board. At that time, I was like, dude, like, why would I go on a TV show? It's just going to make me look like an idiot. Reality TV show. Like, this is terrible for business. So I talked to a couple people, talked to Johnny, talked to a couple other of my mentors at the time. And they're like, dude, do it, man. Like LA is very big on social currency. Mm-hmm. Again, when it comes to the creator economy, it's real. These kids are making a ton of money. And they have a very large network. And, just like, for example, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson yesterday, he sold $1 million in 24 hours for his ZOA energy drink just by one simple promo code, which is nuts. That means 333,000 people, 32,000 people had to, purchase this at that certain price, which is nuts in a matter of 24 hours. So there, you see that sphere of, creators. And again, he's more than that. He's a powerhouse, but again, it's there, it trickles down. So I decided to go on the reality TV show. The show was called FYI on HBO Max. Already acting before going into a show like that. Long story short, on the show, it was a breeze. Won that show. It was super easy. Didn't make me look the best. Didn't get the best. I'll tell you this much: they show about 20% of what actually happens on the show. That's about it. All the other stuff that happens, again, they have their own objectives. And that was also another eye-opening experience, which has allowed me to stay friends with some of these producers and things like that still to this day. One of them that just got $175 million injected into his company. Yeah, he can thank me for that. And I'll take the $100,000 that I didn't get, and I'll take that, put it into his company at a valuation of $1 million. That'd be great. Thanks. All right. So that was an interesting experience going on there. But again, I think the biggest thing from that was that you got a blue check from it. You got social currency. And during last year, it's been actually a year. The new show's coming out very soon. Season 2. I would say that was, when it comes to the entertainment space, when it comes to Los Angeles, like I could hit up any single person at any single restaurant, get a reservation, go to any club, go anywhere that I want in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York. So that's helped out a lot. You have to realize, like, I look at, that going on that show is like, all right, the blue check mark, like you have NFTs and things like that. Mm-hmm. Cool. I mean, where's really the intrinsic value and the utility on that? I have friends who, again, who have made a ton of money off cryptocurrency, off NFT projects that are some of the largest NFT projects. Is there real utility behind it? Are they actually having people like Justin Bieber buy their NFTs? Absolutely not. They're gifting them. Yeah. Sorry to say. But anyway, so during that, so how I look at it is, the blue check mark is the biggest NFT. This is the biggest form of an NFT that you can possibly have right now. It has utility where you're at the top of anyone's news feed, you're at the top of anyone's DMs. And you're just ranked higher in the index of that platform. So it's helped a lot with business, being able to reach out to certain entrepreneurs that are very successful, who started up their own companies, who also, you can just DM them and be like, hey, let's chat. You can reach out to any influencer. I mean, that was another big thing about the show, is that I've become friends with pretty much every single person in the creator economy. I've also kept a very good reputation of myself. So I think that, when it comes to Forza and firing all fronts on Forza, kind of after the show and everything like that, Johnny reached out to me, started telling me some of the stuff that he was doing. And that's where I was like, well, man, I had so much fun with you in China. Like, I think that my entrepreneurial journey has, like, you opened up my eyes to so many things when we went out there, seeing how to really start something from the ground up, not having a lot of money in your pocket and putting it all out on the line and, fighting for something that you truly believe in. I think, like, that's where we kind of aligned back again, because, COVID happened. It was rough for a lot of people.
Yeah, especially on the business side of things. It just essentially just turned everything into a crawl, or entirely frozen for some companies. And a lot of them are gone, as you had mentioned about the one. Good companies have completely went under.
Yeah. So I look at, even with Johnny, new fashion products. That was nuts. I feel bad for them. A lot of big brands not paying them. When it came to Johnny, man, we just started chatting up again, kind of after the show. And that's when he, brought to light, everything that was happening at Forza, what his vision was. I think the biggest thing for me at the time was, okay, well, I've only worked really with, private companies. Still to this day, I have 2 depositions coming up on some of the acquisitions haven't been paid, which has been a bummer. Mm-hmm. But the private and public side is obviously very different. And, I think the biggest thing for me right now is I'm in that kind of learning curve, and I want to learn as fast as I possibly can. I think that the projects, what I've seen over the last, 6 months has been something, at first you're first starting out again, like you're at square one. You're taking kind of like a public shelf company, and you are starting at square one and trying to build. And you have to hire people. You have to, kind of create this lab that, that we're trying to set up. And, at first, when we were first starting, it was like, all right, well, one, we need to get, we need to create a brand. Like, we need to make sure that we have this brand that's set in stone while we're doing all this other stuff. And, at the time it was me and Johnny. So as being the vice president, you're wearing all these different hats. And that's what kind of helped me with the stuff that I used to do. It's like,
before we dive into that, because I do want a more detailed explanation of being the VP, right? Before we dive into that, I want to kind of analyze your past a little bit, because it sounds like a very honest entrepreneurial journey, right? You touched on a lot of different things. You bounced off this, that, understanding the necessity of delegating roles aside from trying to do everything yourself. understanding the real value of social currency, which is humongous. And you mentioned the NFT space, where it literally is the king of it, right? Social currency is what makes NFTs actually function at all,
Yep.
largely. About to say, yeah, I just got back from Consensus in Austin, Texas 2 weeks ago, and yeah, about to say what it did great there, having that kind of influence. And most of the deals are actually done after the main events at the private parties, which you have to be invited into, and that's where a lot of the real stuff actually happens. So I definitely agree there. So now let's catch back up to the modern day, where you were, what you were just saying. You are currently the vice president. Like on the day to day, what does that actually look like? Like you wake up, what do you do for the company?
Yeah. So being the vice president, especially with where we're at right now, it's wearing a lot of hats. Again, we just got new employees, so it's kind of like, again, being able to see what everyone's strength and weaknesses are, and again, being like, okay, and being able to place them in certain places that, one, they're happy with, they're passionate about, it meets with like kind of their purpose. I think that's the biggest thing, is like making sure that, they're coming to work and they're happy and they're motivated to work and they're pumped and they're excited about the projects that we're doing. I think that is like, again, it's just like any community of any team, like we work. If you ever watch that documentary, Adam Newman, good guy. But no, I mean, that's one major thing when it comes to doing that, because again, Johnny's constantly on calls, doing a lot of other things as well, helping set up the lab and stuff like that. So being able to kind of wear a bunch of hats, also be able to take on some of the stuff that he would normally do, but he's busy on other things. I would say, again, it's setting up the lab, working with these kids, figuring out the software that we need, the right products that we need, the right, sourcing material for the fabrics that we're using for the heated wearables. It comes down to finding the right sewing machines. It comes down to finding the right 3D printers. It comes down to finding, the right seamstresses. It comes down to, again, very simple stuff. You just get an office. Okay, cool. Well, the office looks like the walls are painted in some weird orange and blue form. All right, well, we gotta, bring someone in who's gonna paint the walls, put up, our logo on there. Make the office furniture look at least a little bit more normal. And then I would, again, it just comes down to the website, the branding, everything that it takes in the company. I would say that's kind of where, when I say I'm wearing many hats, it's like the marketing, it comes down to setting up all the social media management. It comes down to creating the brand of the company. Like, who are we? What are we known for? It comes down to website stuff. It comes down to, again, making
sure. It sounds like it is a
we're
lot.
firing all. Yeah. And it's been cool because and I would say, after the last couple months, we finally have gotten some employees in there who are able to help, kind of where I'm able to delegate some of those tasks to them. And
That is useful.
Yes. And I think the biggest thing is that some of them, the majority of them, I'll look at their work and I'm highly impressed. I feel like for me, my entire life, I've been kind of one of those guys who I'm very meticulous with, when it comes to my training, what I eat, what I put in my body, my sleep. Like, I'm making sure I'm in bed at like 10:30, like getting ready to knock out. Not really distracting myself right now, because I didn't come from a lot. So I want to be able to set up an empire for myself and for my family, and, be able to do that in whatever capacity it is. So I think, for me, it's one of those things where, it's very interesting to see how dialed these younger kids are, and seeing, companies that we've paid a lot of money to do certain projects for, that you have these kids come in who one is an intern, and like the work that they've done, I've never seen anything like it to this date. And I think that for me also brings it makes me really pumped up and passionate to like pursue the projects that we're doing. So I'm like, our team's fucking good. Like, good.
You want, man. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're in any sort of higher executive role where you're delegating a lot of things, you want everyone handling some specific role in your umbrella to be smarter than you at that thing. You want them to be better than you at that thing, right? And you want them to be motivated. You want pretty much everyone you work with to be hardworking, intelligent, and to have integrity across the board. And you surround yourself with a lot of those people, you'll succeed. And that's pretty much my philosophy too. and you want to surround yourself with people who are also very positive. And those, as you said, that'll motivate you then to be a better person as well and to move forward well. So agreed. It's like a nurturing atmosphere is what you want to kind of build around you. And then you yourself will be the best that you can be as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of life lessons that you get from it too, especially, you know, when you correlate it to sports and playing sports and teamwork and stuff like that. It's very, it's
That's fair.
interesting.
I was a wrestler, so it wasn't a lot of teamwork involved there. That was more just us beating the crap out of each other during practice, and then let's see what you can actually do by yourself.
I mean, cut weight after you guys finish a match, go to Taco Bell and jam down like, you know, 10, whatever it is, whatever. All my boys, same thing.
Yeah,
JVCs, whatever it is.
all right, man. Well, listen, I feel like we've covered a lot. I guess let's wrap up around the idea of what should people be looking out for from Forza Innovations in the second half of 2022.
Yeah, I would say the main thing is having finished ready products in the heated wearable and also medical field. Products that are related to both of those. Just recently, we had some very cool findings with a new patented technology that can actually be embedded into any type of fabric that works with, you know, light therapies and things like that. So again, can't say too much, but I will say I'm personally, being a fitness and like sports junkie, it's such a big part of my life that I'm extremely excited for, you know, what's to come in regards to that stuff.
Wonderful, Garrett. Well, listen, we've walked through your past, your whole journey of how you got to where you are today. It was quite a crazy one, honestly. Like I said, it was a true entrepreneurial journey, the way you went through everything. But I feel like we've got to know your role a little bit as well today. And you gave us some more stuff to look forward to into the future. So thank you for coming on. Thank
Absolutely.
you for watching.
I gave you the light, Michael. I gave you the light version too, man.
That's the light. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's more, and I'll be happy to have you on again, or we can have you and Johnny both on, and we can chat about more things going forward, talk about more philosophy related to entrepreneurship. Either way, but for now, thank you everybody else for watching. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to submit them below. And Garrett, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Absolutely, Michael. Same to you, man.